So Castle believes that the three-guard lineup will work and this shot has really improved.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome back to Locked On Spurs. We're in the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. Hope you had a great weekend. And as always, thank y'all for making Locked On Spurs your first and only spot for all things San Antonio Spurs. You guys are the everydayers. Keep coming here every single day to Locked On Spurs. We'll talk about what's going on in the offseason, what's ahead for the new season, and everything else in between. Subscribe over at the Locked On Spurs YouTube page, iTunes, Spotify, Ken's by Plus app. You know what to do. Do that right now. What are we talking about today? We're going to put Stephon Castle, that is, in the spotlight. He had a chance to talk to several outlets a few days ago. He was out trying out for SA Fire Department. I'm just kidding. No, he was just there to spread fire prevention awareness. But he had a chance to talk to several people, including our guest, Matt Guzman of Spurs on Sports Illustrated. He's standing by in just a few minutes. It's a great article. He'll talk about that in a few minutes and where to go check it out. But throughout the interview that Matt had with him, he talked about two things that really stood out for me. Castle, his thoughts on the three-guard lineup, and then finally about his shot. So we'll have some stats, especially when it gets to the shot part of the show. And if time permitting, we'll get into some Locked On Spurs fan comments. That's going to bring him on. He is our Monday guest, Mr. Matt Guzman with Spurs on Sports Illustrated. Follow him next at Matt GZMAN. Matt, the offseason is almost over. We still got a few more days, though, but it's ending soon.
Absolutely. 1 week away from training camp. And I say you couldn't wait to get back into the stadium. You're already there.
I just wanted to change it up. You're the first one to comment on the background there. The previous blue background with Locked On is good. It's good for branding, and I'm probably going to bring that back. But I just wanted to change it up before the offseason goes. But I actually like this background better. I just got to figure out.
Good. I like it a lot.
We'll go on that.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, a week away from media day, and I think everything's starting to feel like it's ramping up.
Yeah, it definitely does. Again, he is with Spurs on Sports Illustrated. He'll brag about the article we're going to highlight on this episode in just a few minutes. Obviously, it's more than just his shot selection, Castle, that is. And, of course, the three-guard lineup is a lot more than that. Matt will talk to you about that in a few minutes. All right, Matt, let's go to dive into it here. You had a chance to catch up with Stephon Castle at a fire prevention awareness event. Spurs and USAA, everybody got together, just spread the word to help the local community just do their part to prevent fires. I guess he's like Smokey the Bear or Smokey the Spurs guard in this case. But nevertheless, two things that you highlighted with him, and we'll start off with the first one here. And it's kind of one of those big questions that's looming over the Spurs season, and that is the three-guard lineup. It's him, it's Fox, and the rookie Harper. Matt, it sounds to me when you talk to him that he's all about it, that he thinks it can work. What did he tell you?
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of my biggest questions heading into the interview was, what do you think about the situation? Because we've heard from Dylan, we've heard from Brian Wright, we've even heard from Mitch about how, NBA is becoming positional. So I asked Castle, I said, hey, what do you think about that? What do you think about that? Is that something you can see working? And he was very sure about it. And he talked about, he said, if we have three people with similar IQs who know the game of basketball well, there's no way it can't work. And why wouldn't we try it out?
Yeah. Obviously, Fox is going to be the lead guard in this. Everybody's anointing him as Wemby's running mate, and rightfully so. All-star, the vet. Yeah, proof's in the pudding. Look at his numbers. He's a bucket getter. That's basically what he is. So it makes sense. But it's interesting, though, the three-guard lineup, though, will be delayed because of Harper's injury. He'll likely not participate in training camp. Preseason is iffy right now. We don't know unless, he's young. Maybe he healed up faster and he can get in some training camp. But we know the Spurs operate, Matt. They probably are going to hold him out until the bitter end. So how do you think that's going to impact the three-guard lineup? Just delayed, or is this something that the Spurs are going to stumble on once Harper gets back?
I think, when you look at, obviously the team starts practicing together in the official capacity when training camp starts. But something that Steph was saying is that he's played with De'Aaron a little bit from last season, and he's got a chance to play with Harper a little bit too. So I think he already kind of understands what that's going to look like, what their tendencies are. The biggest thing is just going to be making it game speed against real opponents. So I think in that sense, it'll just be delayed as opposed to just completely pushed off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate, though, that Harper had the the thumb surgery, I should say. The good news is it wasn't that extensive. We're going to go back last week on Locked On Spurs. We had Dr. Ryan McCorkle come on and talk about the injury and the surgery. He pretty much said, like, yeah, it's still surgery, but on the scale of things, is at the bottom of surgery levels. So he feels that Harper should be fine. The other thing, too, Matt, is you mentioned it in your chat with them that 3 guards, 3 similar skill sets. Do you think there will be a problem in the sense of one of these guys is going to take a hit statistically? It'll likely be Harper. He'll probably be coming off that bench. But there's only one basketball, and there's 3 guards with similar skill set. I don't foresee an issue with them sharing the ball and deferring, but do you see anything kind of getting a roadblock of that? Just, they all want to showcase, Castle's the reigning rookie of the year. Fox is Fox. Harper is going to want to be the next guy. It just feels like we might see a collision down the road.
Sure. And I absolutely understand that concern. And I think one of the things to consider to this is that, like you said, Fox is going to take that first step, and it's going to be between Steph and Dylan to kind of back him up in a way. All 3 are, we already know Castle is capable of getting to the rim, driving, or his strong suit isn't in shooting. Neither is Harper's, to be honest. One of those 2 is likely going to have to take a step forward in shooting, and being able to knock down shots on the catch and shoot, or maybe just from the mid-range. But I think to your point, we're going to see a little bit of a regression from Steph, in my opinion, not because he's getting worse, because his role is going to be a little bit decreased. And I don't think that's something he's quite worried about. I don't think he's going to be chasing those statistics, and neither is Harper. I could see them both kind of rising to the same level, and then you kind of see at which point, does somebody make a case for themselves over the other? Is this, obviously they're going to try it. Is it sustainable, though? That's kind of the bigger question for me, and I think that's going to become more apparent as the season goes on.
I foresee this, Matt, at one point in the season, Harper's going to challenge the coaching staff to really consider maybe upping Harper's minutes or flirting with the idea of starting him. I think that is a bridge that's likely be crossed down the road. Maybe not in the first few months of the season, but if he's shaping up to be the number 2 pick, and many felt that maybe he should have been the number 1 pick, then, that's a question for the Spurs coaches to have to really, really ponder about. Is this guy starter material? Because eventually I predict he'll likely be starter material, unless he's okay. And he's mentioned it that, he sees how James Harden came off the bench, and that was in the Thunder days. We've seen that with Manu. Manu definitely was worthy of a starting position, but he deferred off the bench. But man, I think there's going to come a point where he's going to challenge that. And I don't know if Castle's willing to take a seat on the bench or whatnot, or they start all 3 and then somebody like maybe Vassell or Sohan has to sit. Good problems to have here with the San Antonio Spurs, absolutely. But the 3-guard lineup, I think, will work. And as our guest last Friday mentioned, AJ Hoffman from the San Antonio Sports Star, that is, I mentioned like, well, what about Harper? He might get the rookie treatment to come off the bench. And he kind of reminded everybody, I want to bring this to your attention, Matt, that we got to get out of the Popovich mindset. This is Mitch Johnson. Mitch Johnson is probably not going to take a page out of Popovich and say, oh, you're a rookie. You got to earn your stripes. You're coming off that bench for the whole season. I think Mitch is the type of coach that'd be, you know what, Harper, you're really wrecking shop. Get out there now. What do you think?
Absolutely. And we saw it, when things were uncertain with in Devin at the beginning of last season, it was Julian who filled in and got that starting spot. I don't, halfway through the season, obviously, when Victor and De'Aaron went out, it was Castle who got all those minutes and had his chance to just play free. And I found we talked about that a lot with him at the end of the season. And so, yeah, absolutely. I think Mitch Johnson is the kind of coach to give Harper what minutes he's deserving or what minutes he's proving he needs. And so I think that's something that is definitely to watch for, is he's not necessarily just going to be relegated to the bench because he's a rookie. And in the same right, Castle could put him on the bench if, they find out this 3-guard lineup isn't working and, hey, maybe one of these 2 guys deserves it more than the other.
Yeah. I am not buying that it's not going to work. I'm going to sell that. I think it's absolutely going to work. There's going to be some stumbling blocks along the way, some pitfalls, but I think it'll work out. And we're already seeing the biggest one right now, Matt, and that is Harper being out. Again, we don't know if it's the start of the season, but I believe, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the Spurs kind of alluded that maybe training camp is out of the question right now. So we shall see. I mean, he'll likely play some, maybe light contact work and obviously conditioning and learning the playbook, stuff like that. But, it's just a shame he's going to miss his some preseason games, possibly that, and including training camp. Worst timing for him, too. He's a rookie. He needs that training camp. He needs that practice ASAP because NBA players constantly say once the season starts, practice is a rarity in the league. So, unfortunately, it's a little setback for Harper, but I think he will be okay. Hey, we're not done talking about Stephon Castle. Yeah, we're going to put him back in the spotlight here. Matt had a chance to talk to him about his shooting. Now we're going to get into the thick of things. When we get back, let's talk about that and more right here on Locked On Spurs.
Hey, let's talk about 5-Hour Energy. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5-Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine with a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugars, 0 crashes. What I love most is how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot. You can take it in whenever you need that boost and when you need it. Hey, you know what? Why don't you go find your favorite flavor? What if it's original? What if it's a berry? There's so many flavors to choose from. You'll have your favorite flavor in no time. And here's the thing about 5-Hour Energy Shot. It kicks in fast, sugar-free. You don't have to worry about crashing later. Enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-Hour Energy Shots. Get the favorites you love and be bold and try something new in-store and online at www.5hourenergy.com or Amazon today.
We're back right here on Locked On Spurs, joined by Matt Guzman. He is with Spurs on Sports Illustrated. Follow my next at MattGZMAN. We're talking about Stephon Castle. Matt had a chance to catch up with him this offseason, a few days ago, and had a chance to talk to him about a lot of things. But in this segment, we're going to highlight perhaps the more important thing when it comes to X's and O's, and that is his shot. Matt, that is something that he has struggled with maybe since his UConn days. And in his rookie season, we saw a little bit of that, more on that later. But this offseason, it seems he put a focus on the outside shooting, shared videos of him in the gym with the guard whisperer. A look at that shot has improved. What did he tell you about his perimeter game?
Well, one of the biggest things obviously was that 3-point shot for him. And we know that that's not a strong suit. And I think it's very clear that, where he thrives is getting to the point or getting to the paint. And so I asked him about, things that he's been working on. And one of the biggest things he said was finding efficiencies. He wants to be able to not only, make shots, but figure out which spots are going to work best for him that aren't driving inside, and so he's been looking for those spots, finding ways that he can impact the game through his shooting, and I think that was one of the biggest things that he wanted to work on was being able to impact the game more offensively. And so, he said that he's feeling good about where he stands, and, his shot is going to come. It's going to develop a little bit more than we've seen so far, and I think that's a huge positive for the Spurs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you right there. I think I am not worried about his shot, and why? Because the numbers show it. Let's go ahead and talk about this, Matt. We're going to bring it on here, get us here on the screen. Just a few seconds here. Hang on, everybody. I'll figure it out. Old man problems right here, everybody. We're almost going to get it there, everybody. Hang on. And I think we're going to get it. There we go. All right, Matt. Let's look at Castle's shot in his rookie season, month by month. October, fine, whatever. He's still figuring things out. We're looking at just field goal percentage, 30%. But what puts some calmness in me is look how it improved month after month. 30% in October to 42%. Skipped to January, 43%, 44% in February, and ended it strong with the 45, 46% in March and 46% again in April. We're just rounding up, everybody. These stats are courtesy of Basketball Reference. Matt, this puts a smile on my face, and it should put a smile on the face of Spurs fans because the improvement is there, and it was showcased in his rookie season. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. And I think the thing that we're looking at here is the fact that not only is he improving percentage-wise, but he's improving percentage-wise while the volume is also increasing. I mean, you look at that month shot, who attempted more than 100 more field goals than he had any other month, on an individual basis, and he had the highest shooting percentage that he'd had all season. You're looking at the 3-point percentages; they're not exactly jumping off the page, right? But that's something that he's going to have to develop over time. But the fact, like you said, that these numbers, from within the arc are looking very good, and they looked to be improving even when he was given more of a runway. It wasn't he was just shooting shots and missing them all, and he was actually improving. And I think that's going to be huge for him to continue to build on as he gets to, find his place offensively in this, especially in this log jam that's been created.
Yeah, and we look at the we got to address the elephant in the room, that 3-point shot. That is just not good. Not good at all. I mean, you highlighted March, so we'll highlight March again. That was the most volume he took, 86 threes, and he only made 26, good for 30%. And that 3-shot really needs to work. But like we said, this offseason, he has been focusing on that. At this point, Matt, if he can hover around 31, 32, I'll be happy. I mean, that's progress. I'm hoping with Victor back, the spacing that it'll create for Harper to get clean looks at the rim, I think that will help. You also have the driving kicks, maybe by Harper to Castle or Fox to Castle. Hopefully that will help. And we got big bodies as well that can put some hard screens from Cornette and Olynyk, and again, free up Castle to get clearer looks. So the tools are there on the roster player-wise, and then his attitude / work ethic this offseason. I am expecting a small leap in 3-point shooting. What do you think?
For sure. And, it goes without saying that if it's something that it's focusing on, you expect him to show up and be a little bit better. And I think you and I can obviously talk about that more as the season develops, right? But, just from an outside perspective, if he's going to be dedicating time in the offseason, and that was something he mentioned to me was, this is the first offseason he's had off in a while. You talked about it was a little bit jumbled winning the national championship with UConn last season and then pre-draft. And so he never really had a chance to settle in. Obviously, last season was what it was with Spurs, with all the uncertainty and injuries. But, I think when you have a season like your offseason like that, where he was very excited about the time he had to work on his craft, you expect that to show, right off the bat.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, overall, though, we saw the progress he made, at least from the 2-shot area. It was fine. It's going to get better. Again, the 3-shot will come. Hopefully, the players around him will help him improve in that department. Hey, we're not done talking about Castle and his shot. When we get back, we're going to look at the areas of where he shot last season. There's some very big areas that he needs to address. Are there concerns? Let's talk about that coming up next right here on Locked On Spurs with Matt Guzman with Spurs on Sports Illustrated.
Hey, let's talk about Monarch Money. Most people can't name their financial accounts or even know what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And whether you don't have the full picture, you could end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've been putting off organizing your finances, Monarch will help you. How about this? Monarch does the heavy lifting. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Hey, can you identify that you're not saving as much as you thought? Monarch can help you. They'll give you a notice of insufficient investment allocation and discover forgotten 401ks from past jobs. Maximizing investments, increasing your savings rate. You can easily review your finances with your partner or financial advisor, keeping a clear view of your financial health week to week and long term. Look, don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNBA.
We're back right here on Locked On Spurs, joined by Matt Guzman. He's with Spurs on Sports Illustrated. We're highlighting the article he had, an interview, I should say, with Stephon Castle a few days ago. Again, you want to read that, just go to his X link. You see it there on your screen at MattGZman. He'll talk about what else they spoke about in just a few minutes. We're talking about Castle and his improvements. One improvement that he is focusing on this offseason is the outside shot. And Matt, we looked at why me, Spurs fans, shouldn't be too concerned about his perimeter shooting, because we saw progression, especially from the 2-point range. 3-shot is still a work in progress. But let's now look at how he did just areas of the court. So let's going to bring this on here. We go. There it is. Look at that. All right. So we know he can get to the rim. That is no problem there. 65% shooting at the rim. Pretty good. But look at that big drop off, though. If he's not anywhere near the rim, I mean, even 3 feet from the rim, it just plummets down to 37%. And then you go a little out to 10 to 16. Y'all can see on your screen, 37%. And then anything beyond 16 feet to the 3-point line, it was a struggle, 33%. So, yeah, man. And we look at the shot types. Again, finishing at the rim, not a problem. I had no idea he took one hook shot last year. Huh. Go figure. Hey, well,
I'm saying he needs to take some more hook shots.
I know he's perfect with hook shots, 1 for 1. But man, again, look at the shot types. Jump shots, just 32%. I think it's clear, Matt, his rookie season, if he wasn't at the rim, he pretty much wasn't really scoring, was he?
Right. And that's obviously the biggest thing that should be focused on. It to me, it does say something that, considering, bluntly, how poorly he was shooting on jump shots, outside of the paint, not near the rim. The fact that he had as big of an impact as he did, teams knew he was going to be going to the rim because that was where he thrived, and he still managed to find a way to impact the game there. So I'm personally excited about how that's going to continue to develop. Because obviously, he's going to get stronger, smarter, learn how to, find his way to the rim even when people know he's going to go there. But I mean, yeah, that's definitely obviously that jump shot number, the 32%. Like, that's something that I think he knows 100% was one of his weaknesses last season, and that's kind of why he wanted to focus on it all offseason, because there's a lot of room for improvement there.
Yeah, and he's going to need to vary it up because the book is out on him. I'm pretty sure this upcoming season teams are going to dare him to shoot. Like, go for it, buddy. We ain't going to get you
right
at the rim. So they're going to do their best to keep him away from that rim, that paint area, because that's where he's most deadly. But wow, it's just a dramatic drop off, man. 66% at the rim his rookie season, down to 37%, just 3 feet away from the rim. That's crazy. That's crazy. So yeah, I think he's going to have, and he has been in this offseason. We all know that. He's been working on his 3-shot or just a shot. How's that? This offseason. Matt, we're going to leave this graphic up here. Do you see anything else that maybe you'd like to see him improve upon? If I don't have the shot chart with me, but the right corner 3 was his best 3-point shot area. And why not put him in a Bruce Bowen role? Just camp out of that 3-shot in the right side, and we'll kick it out to you. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think that's a very feasible spot for him to be in, especially when we're talking about this 3-guard lineup. If they're going to do that, they're going to need somebody to be out there, waiting for a pop. When somebody's inside, he's going to kick it out and going to count on somebody to knock down the three. So maybe that becomes Castle's spot when it's his time to be the catch and shoot. The other times we'll figure out maybe when Harper does get on the floor, we'll figure out which spots works best for him. And I could definitely see that becoming something that they could look to. So it is promising to know that he has at least a strong area around the blue corner.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, those stats, courtesy of Basketball Reference. So there you have it, Matt. It seems to me the 2 biggest areas in your chat with him, 3-guard lineup, outside shooting. He's aware of it. He knows it. He feels that it'll work, the 3-guard lineup. He's aware his outside shot needs work. We saw the numbers. Overall, are you worried? I'm not worried about his outside shooting. I think it's going to take a step. I'm saying a small step. How big of a step do you think is going to be? Do you think he's going to be vying for the 3-point challenge at the All-Star break, or no?
Absolutely not. And I think I said this the other day too on this I think last week's episode. Like, that's okay to me. As long as he does make those improvements, he can become a little bit more of a threat from outside of the rim. him. That's what the Spurs needs from him. Because at the same time, like, his shot isn't great right now. If it improves, then great. But he doesn't need to be taking all these 3-point shots, especially when Victor comes back and has added, even somebody like Kelly Olynyk who can shoot three pretty well. I think they're going to be looking to others. They need to be looking to others to make that shot because it's not Castle's job to be a 3-point specialist. So with any improvements you see him make, you kind of take it.
Yeah, you're right. He's not a 3-point specialist. That is absolutely correct. But from your three guards, though, they've proven that they're not the greatest 3-point shooters. Of the three, we have one that's unknown, Dylan Harper. We have one rookie, well, no longer a rookie. Statistically, we saw got better, but not great from the 3 line, especially in today's NBA. And we have Fox, who was a decent 3-point shooter, but not a complete threat. So that's where it's a little still shaky for me. If I have a concern about the 3-guard lineup, it's that is the 3 line. Hey, Matt, what else did you and Castle talk about?
One of the things that I really enjoyed was I got a chance to ask him, when we look back this year, what were some of the biggest things you learned, maybe on the court, off the court? And the thing that he said was actually really cool. He said, took him a second to come up with this answer, right? He was really thinking about it. But, he said the biggest thing that he learned was how much more team accomplishments means. He's like, don't get me wrong, I'm humble and, very proud to have earned the Rookie of the Year award, that individual award. But, he went on to say, like, last year when I won the Natty, he kept calling it the Natty. He said, when I won the Natty, it was a completely different, feeling. You can't describe that feeling. And knowing that he's now chasing that feeling in the NBA, he said, like, I want my teammates to experience that. Obviously only Harrison and Luke really, have that experience themselves. But that was the cool thing, was that he really placed a heavy emphasis on team accomplishments and team goals, which I think is going to make it's going to bode well for him as he's trying to navigate what his role might look like, even if it's up and down a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, people can go to Spurs on Sports Illustrated or just follow you on X, right, at MattGZ, man.
That's right. Yeah, I posted it yesterday. It'll be up there for whenever you want to check it out.
All right. Well, we got time for one.
Want to check it out?
Yeah. Check it out now before the season sneaks up on y'all, everybody. Well, we got time for just one Locked On Spurs fan comment. And so, yeah, we'll check it out here. We'll let Matt go in a bit. Let's see if I can pick a good one for here. Okay, here's one. We'll keep with the Castle theme here. This is from Master K Time 242. You left a comment on the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. He's talking about Castle. Stephon Castle, get ready, Matt. Hot take here. Is better than Vassell. What do you think?
That's not outlandish. I don't think it's. We've talked about. I think that was our topic the other day. Was top 100 Vassell and Castle, where they fit. I could definitely see him becoming more of an impact player than Vassell next season at the earliest. Even in a couple of years, it just depends on what Vassell takes the step forward that I think the Spurs have hoped he'd been taking forward. I think he's been paid last couple of seasons. And so, I don't think that's a crazy take. Maybe not right now, just because Castle's still getting there, but I don't think that's a crazy take to me.
No. I agree with him. I think as of right now, Castle is better than Vassell. However, we got to see there's no sophomore jinx. If it wasn't just a flash in the pan one time. So I think he'll have to prove himself. I think, obviously, I personally don't think it was just a one-time thing. It wasn't a one-hit wonder his rookie season. He's going to get better. And think about what Vassell is. I'm getting close to saying, Matt, that Vassell is already who he is in the NBA. Like, that is going to be Devin Vassell. He's year 5, 6 already, and same struggles.
Right.
Not consistent shooting, but a good player. Can create his shot. Definitely, an energy guy. He's the player that you want on your team. It doesn't matter what NBA city you're in. But again, it's I don't want to think that we're there already, but I'm really getting close to it. That Vassell is who he is already in the league. Now, if he takes, we all know that his next big step, Vassell, that is again just like a Castle, that outside shot. He can make them. Yes, he is a good 3-point shooter. He can knock them down. When he's on, he is on. But he'll be on for 2 games and then disappear for 3 games. I mean, we've seen that time and time again. But statistically, he does knock them down. We just like to hit him more regularity and frequency. But yeah, I think Castle at this point is probably a little better than Devin Vassell. Thanks for that comment there. You guys leaving the comments here on Locked On Spurs. Master K time 242. We appreciate it. Matt, what else you got cooking over at Spurs on Sports Illustrated?
Well, week till media day, I'm going to bring back my series that I've done for 3 years, the 5 Beyond Wemby, just kind of picking 5 players not named Victor Wembanyama who might have a very strong impact this upcoming season. So that's next on the docket for me.
Mm-hmm. Matt, I want to let you know now, I'm probably going to steal that topic for Locked On Spurs. I'm just giving you a heads up now. It's full disclosure, man.
No worries.
Well, with this, why don't we just have you on for that? There'll be a good happy middle there. We'll just have you on for that. That'll be a great topic there.
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. All right. He is Matt Guzman with Spurs on Sports Illustrated. Again, his article with Stephon Castle is out. Go check it out over at Spurs on Sports Illustrated, or just follow him on X at MattGZMAN. Matt, as always, by the way, Matt, back-to-back Mondays for you. Back-to-back Mondays where you kick off the week with us here in Locked On Spurs. So I think we start pattern here. We may have to start it Mondays with Matt. I think that's going to be the segment, Mondays with Matt. I'm down for that.
Hey, and next Monday is Media Day, and last Media Day we did it, so maybe.
That's right. That is absolutely right. Yeah. I think there's the universe is calling to us right now, Matt. Mondays with Matt here on Locked On Spurs. Again, Matt, thank you for your time as always. We appreciate it. Everybody else, thank y'all for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. You guys are the everydayers. Keep coming back here to Locked On Spurs as the offseason is almost winding down. Media day, training camp, and then the real deal gets going in about a month-ish. So we'll see how the Spurs are looking by then. And don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Ken's 5 Plus app, YouTube. You know what to do. Go subscribe ASAP. But for Matt Guzman, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.